B people like to cook some breakfast for you. So it's not just apples and oranges and bananas and things like that. I mean, there may actually be some fried rice in the place when you finally settle up into that. But you're still not going to run that though, right?
Still not running. No.
Okay, gotcha. Well, we'll just wait. We're waiting it out. When do you think the doctor's going to clear you for racing?
I don't know. I'm still working on that.
Keep looking at the calendar because April the 5 is when the marathon and the half marathon and all of that stuff is. And they're going to make you work it anyway, one way or the other, right?
Well, we'll see.
All right, 8:21 in the morning. And time to take a look at the football pick'ems.
Yeah, I got a game today. I believe that's, Washington and Minnesota. So that'll be taking off at about 10:20 this morning. No baseball today, so that's going to be the center of attention for most sports fans, unless you're following basketball.
I'm not. I've already kind of lost my place in basketball. I don't even know if there's playing and who's playing today. Is there?
Oh, actually, I've got a.
Okay, so we'll go over that in a second.
We'll cover that in a moment.
So what's the deal on this game? Now, I've got Minnesota just because I like the Vikings. I also like Washington, but I don't know if this is going to be the year for the Skins. And the Vikings are looking pretty good going in. What do you think?
Yeah, gonna go for the Vikings. They're the number 6 offense right now in the NFL, and it sorry, the defense. Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
That's what. No,
ahead.
All right.
It's totally. I'm glad you
I was
have
like, I
notes.
lost my place. I was like, I had all this ready to talk about.
No, that's the way
there we
it
go.
works
So
in
there's
radio.
my stats. Washington is the number 30 offense in the league. So pretty much not going to be a huge competition for the Vikings.
Yeah, and then Vikings are at home. They're quite frankly, the Vikings are just so much better than the Redskins.
But we got stung on that a couple of weeks ago, where everything looked like it was going to be gone. Forget which game it was, but it was one that both you and I went to the back and bit into a piece of rebar because it was just one of those things where we said, "You got to be kidding! How is it possible?"
I had a couple of weeks like that.
Yeah.
So but I don't know. This seems like a no-brainer, and quite frankly,
Those
everyone
are the
on
scary
Yahoo
ones.
thinks so too, because less than 1% of the voters in the Yahoo Pick'em have picked the Redskins. Somebody did, though.
Yeah, but here's the point. I haven't done the stats on this. I keep wanting to go back and take a look at the first 7 weeks and see how many cases there have been these upsets, and not upsets within a field goal range. I mean, we're talking about 10, 15 points between one team and the other that was supposed to win.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to get that data. I don't have it. A lot of the upsets have been very, very close games. I don't recall any upsets that were blowouts. There may have been one or two. I just don't see that happening in this case.
So everybody on the same page. Minnesota is going to beat Washington in the game that's going to take place today. The other games that we're going to be looking out for, and it's so sad that we've got to go from our Friday, and we don't get to do anything until it gets to be Monday on Guam to see how these games play out. Atlanta at Seattle. I got Seattle on that one. The Bills are going to beat Philly. Chicago is going to beat the Chargers. Detroit will beat New York. Tennessee is, in my mind, going to go over Tampa Bay easily. Indianapolis over Denver. I get the Rams. In fact, it's all the way down here. The Rams are going to win, then New Orleans, Jacksonville, San Francisco, New England, Houston, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh is the way I've got this lined up for next week.
That completely mirrors my picks. So
right? So
it's right on the same.
But it's scary because it's basically the only thing that I've disagreed on is Seattle beating Atlanta. Most people are saying that it's going to be the game is going to be going in the direction of Atlanta. Wait a second, no, because Seattle is listed here as an underdog. My point is that on the football pick'ems, all of the dots on one side are filled.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of scary because you don't think it's going to happen like that. It's like
So
the
it
answer
should be A and then B. No, that's too many B's in a row. Now
Yeah,
C.
that's how my daughter was talking about taking the SAT yesterday, and it's exactly what I was thinking of. Is how many times did you use C? How many times can B be in a row on your SAT?
Yeah,
It just
they're
doesn't
trying
look
to
right.
trick us here.
Exactly. So move and meander away from all of that. All right. So that's what we've got in football this weekend. We'll see how it plays out and see how it shakes out. But like I said, first game is going to be between Minnesota and Washington. I think everybody, even Mana, is on the same page here. It's going to be Minnesota, right?
Yes.
Thank you. 8:25 in the morning, and she's getting all of that stuff taken care of. There is still basketball, right?
There is. Yeah, we have some finals here. The Timberwolves and the Nets fought into overtime with the Timberwolves edging those Nets 127-126. Spurs were at home, took one from the Knicks 120 to 111. Mavericks down the Wizards at home as well, 108 to 100. The Jazz beat the Thunder 195. Suns really put one on the Sacramento Kings 124 to 95. And the Nuggets went into Portland and beat the Trailblazers 108 to 100.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. That was basketball, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I immediately went into my my social media to see if I was missing anything on Facebook. I don't know. It's a blind spot for me.
Like a goldfish.
Well, yeah, I am like a goldfish. It's just a blind spot for me. It's like the baseball and the NBA, and the only reason why I pay any attention to sports, to football in particular, is because it's something. There's only a handful of teams, and you can almost sort your way around it. With the NBA, it feels like there's all these different teams, all these different players that you're supposed to know, and the season goes pretty much every day of the year. There's going to be a basketball game starting now and ending sometime in August of next year.
It's kind of like baseball.
It just goes on forever and ever, and I just don't have the mental bandwidth to be able to take care of stuff like that. All right, so we've got a couple of minutes to talk about some other stuff, and sometimes when Renee and I get together, the subject is nothing to do with sports. Sometimes it's not even running. Sometimes it's food, because it's the thing that everybody can agree on. I told Jerry Roberts in the last hour about Domino's Japan launching roulette pizza, and the way it works is they make a pizza, and one of the slices of the pizza is covered with ghost pepper sauce. And the object of the game is you get together with your friends, everybody grab a slice. One of you is going to get the one that's basically poison and will make you sick for an hour.
I would die.
Right. And so I'm thinking that's not a bad thing to do, though. Something worth trying the next time that we're at the restaurant. And again, the other idea is if they were to import that to Guam, because I think it's a great idea, the way it would work here, because I know my boys, we would want all of the slices except one to be covered with ghost pepper, and the loser would be the guy that gets the one that didn't have any pepper. Oh, you got the one that just tastes like salami. Sucker. Just something like that. There is also Dunkin' Donuts, another fast food kind of chain, announced that next month it will introduce a plant-based sausage sandwich. Are you getting into any of this stuff? You know, Burger King has got it. We tried this. We've actually tried this. Burger King has got that Impossible Whopper. You have not tried it yet.
I heard it was just okay.
It was good. It
tastes
tastes
like a Whopper.
But I haven't had it, so I can't say.
Tastes like meat.
I don't know.
Which is the thing, and so now everybody seems to be moving in that direction. McDonald's is going to be coming out with something similar, and Dunkin' Donuts, a plant-based sausage sandwich. And I'm just kind of curious, can we still call it a sausage sandwich if it doesn't actually have any sausage parts in it? It's all a question of nomenclature. But for somebody in the
if you do the air quotes,
air quotes, sausage, that kind of thing.
Sausage.
But for somebody like you that's in the F&B business, I mean, how do you look at kind of what I would consider to be Frankenfood coming in?
They're appeasing the market. There's a demand for it, even if it's small. But
Yeah.
people are looking for healthy alternatives, meat alternatives, and
Well, in this case, it's a meat alternative. You take a look at the stats on it. You go with an Impossible Whopper versus a regular Whopper. There really is not that big a difference in calories when it's all said and done.
like I
So
think all of 40, maybe 30.
yeah, it's just that. I mean, they're still putting the ketchup and the mustard, and it's still got the carb load from the bread and all of these other things.
And I
so
think the fat's all in there.
there's
almost
something
certain.
there's something like a fat. I forget what the name is.
Is it good fat?
It's a chemical name that they're using in there, and the reason is because it simulates the mouthfeel of the oil and the grease in a burger, but it's not oil or grease. It just
And the body doesn't absorb it?
I don't. Well,
Because
That's the scary
if,
part.
if the body doesn't absorb it,
Yeah,
and
well,
it
there's
just
no meat in here, but we
Yeah,
threw in all these
anyone-
chemicals for
Does
you.
anyone
so-
remember Olestra?
yes,
yes.
I remember Olestra.
What was it? What
But
was
the
this
body-
stuff? There was a kind of potato chip they were marketing.
Right, yeah.
Was that
But it was-
Olestra?
Yeah, but it was giving people diarrhea.
Yeah, explosive diarrhea is it actually.
I was trying to incorporate that somehow into sports.
Yeah, the name of the program earlier was the Agana swimming pool is closed. So that's where we are today. 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number. And then there's this. It takes someone just 38 seconds to judge your home. Is there a concern that you have when people come over to the house that they are going to start getting judgy on you?
Well, for me, my house is never clean enough.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like particular about making sure that it's clean and it smells good. And
I was going to say, what's the first thing that you notice when you walk into somebody's house?
It's smell. It's
dirty.
going to be smell. It's going to be smell.
It's gonna
Smell
be,
is going
that's
to be
right.
the
You're
first thing you
absolutely
notice.
right. In
Yeah.
38 seconds, you will be able to walk into somebody's house, and it doesn't matter whether it's clean
It's
or
always-
not.
actually-
Nobody's going to be looking for the dust bunnies and things like that. That's
if
not
I
what.
feel something on the bottom of my feet, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I constantly want to wipe my feet.
Oh,
because
it-
so if you
there's-
have tile floors and I walk in with no shoes on.
You start and you feel everything. There's
feel everything.
So it's one of the
Get a
things.
pair of house slippers.
Or socks, or wear socks all the time in
Yeah.
the house. See, we don't do that. See, that's a Howley thing. It's wearing shoes in the house, Howley thing.
So I take my shoes off and I feel every crumb of dirt that you have in your house.
38
But yeah,
seconds, the
the
average
smell.
person, and it is the first thing that we notice when we walk into somebody's house is the
So
smell.
right as you walk in the door, you plug into your outlet
That's where
one
the
of those
Febreze needs to
Febreze.
go. Yeah, that's where it needs to go. We need to get out of here as well. Big deal over at the Outrigger over the weekend. You got anything spectacular?
Just come on by. Jesse and Ruby are playing Bamboo Bar.
Oh, that's enough right there. That right there is enough.
Sunday
Bamboo Bar.
brunch. We still got a few slots open.
One of the best buffets in Tucson, as a matter of fact. And if you are sunset hunting, then be over at the Bamboo Bar or right outside at 5:57 this evening. That's when it's going to take place. And who knows? It is manager night at the Bamboo Bar, isn't it? Isn't it boss night? What night do you guys do the
Oh,
managers
that
thing?
was just Boss's Day on the 16th.
Oh no!
Oh,
no,
the
no, I'm
manager,
talking about
the manager reception. We
manager's
call it. Yeah.
reception. Yeah.
That's tonight. Every Friday we
Okay.
do a cultural show. So we have the Unet and Gift Pago come in and they do a little show.
They
and-
are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to meet up with Renee and the rest of the Outrigger team, that's where you will find them tonight. They're there most every other night, but I mean, for sure tonight you might be able to run into them and say hello and get your thoughts on doing some business with those guys. It's 8:32 in the morning. That's all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports. Montesilva's returning with headlines in just a moment.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
Quiz nights tonight. That's going to be over at the Sheraton. And last word I heard, they were down to just 2 tables, and those were probably going to go pretty quick. There might still be some time for you to go on Facebook and look for Habitat for Humanity Guam and take a look at the flyer and see the phone numbers and email addresses that you're going to need if you're going to want to go. If you're flying solo tonight, there's always the possibility that there could be a team that lost somebody to, I don't know, AIDS or dengue fever or something like that. So they're looking to fill that. I mean, you can do it with 5 people, but it's more fun with 6. So just show up or at the Sheraton tonight, and if there's a team that's got an opening, I'll get you situated with them. It's 8:34, and time for our last look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's news with Montesilva Tyrant.
An investigation's been launched into Guam's Congressman Mike Nicholas by the House Ethics Committee. The investigation into allegations that he had a sexual relationship with a member of his congressional staff, which is prohibited under House ethics rules. The House committee says this is the second to be launched in as many days into members. Former Congressman Robert Underwood, meanwhile, says these investigations aren't too unfamiliar and is suspect of the timing of this committee investigation and the coverage by conservative media outlets. The Chamorro Land Trust Commission will meet with Southern residents tonight in the first of a series of town hall meetings. This will be a chance for them to hear issues and problems dealing with CLTC lands. The town hall meeting tonight will be from 6 to 8 at the Agate Sagambisita. Sessions for the southern and northern villages will be held in November and again in December. One of the men charged in relation to the death of Keith Castro this year is asking to be released from jail. Thomas Mark Taitano is currently being held on $100,000 cash bail, but is asking to be released to a third party. He's alleged to have struck Castro with a baton prior to him falling and being shot and killed by Joshua Palacios. Taitano will be back in court on November 14th with his third party. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
We got some funky news coming out of Washington, D.C., as you reported here a second ago. And Tracy Limtiaco has sent me a good news story out of Washington, D.C. The United States Senate Committee on Foreign Relations had a number of hearings this morning, and the hearings for appointments for ambassadors. And in this case, she is touting and congratulating Ms. Yuri Kim of Guam, a career member of the Senior Foreign Service, class of counselor to be Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the United States of America to the Republic of Albania.
Wow.
Congratulations to you, Yuri.
And also member of the Class of 89 Academy of Our Lady of Guam.
Really?
Yes, she's our classmate.
Really? Get her phone number. Let's go find her. Do you know?
I'm sure Tracy has it.
Really? Okay. Well, it'd be great to get hooked up with Yuri and find out. First of all, where the hell is Albania? Which one of those? And is this part of the quest? Do you go in alphabetical order? So it's just Albania, and then it's going to be Brazil after that, or what's the order of your ambassadorship?
You'll have to ask her.
How do you get chosen? I mean, how do they?
You got to be
Mike,
smart.
do you know how to
for one thing.
Yeah. Well, the Academy girl, right? Did you copy off of her when you?
I was gonna say, man, I miss a mark.
8:30. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which of the guys in the Father Duenas class of 1980 I was copying.
I copied off of Yuri and Tracy.
Yeah, well, we had both of the Patron brothers, Rick and Rufino Patron, in the senior class of Father Duenas, and those were the guys to copy off of because they were like 4.5 GPA dudes.
All I know is to be an international ambassador, you have to be really smart, really friendly, and that, of course, rules me out.
Yeah, couldn't do it that way. It's 8:37 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. Swing by iConnect if you are self-motivated, energetic, and outgoing. iConnect is looking for the right people to be a part of their corporate sales team. So if you've got sales experience, excellent communication skills, and can work as a member of a team, you are encouraged to apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit iconnectguam.com to get more information about this grand opportunity. iConnect, an equal opportunity employer.
In life, we all have the ability to make a difference, to make an impact on someone's life. As we look around us, time never stops, but we are filled with endless moments of gratitude. The art of giving is incorporated in so many different ways. At Guam Gift Baskets, we want to be able to express your gratitude and love to those who you care about. Show your appreciation with a gift made with love this holiday season. Visit our website at guamgiftbaskets.com. See the smiles, touch their hearts, feel the experience.
Oh, yeah. Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by Mescla with their 3 cups chicken, an iconic Taiwanese dish they're serving up there. Boneless chicken, and then they saute that up with ginger and chilies, star anise, which I had in my cupboard for a long, long time, and then one day just threw away because I never found a recipe that used star anise in it. Ever. Scallions, basil, green beans, and a sweet soy mixture. Served with your choice of starch. Visit Mescla in Agana and now in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. And while you're there, wave to Valerie Bloss. For reservations, call this number, 969-2652.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
20 to 9, it's the Ray Gibson Show, and one of the things that I like to do in this program is take a look at a traffic gizmo and something special and unique that we have here at the radio station that allows us to peer into traffic on a real-time basis. So you can see kind of top down where some of the issues are, where some of the traffic is lagging. There was an accident on Route 4, and I'm looking at the traffic gizmo. That's obviously cleared up because the only thing I see happening there right now is a little bit of intersection traffic, and that's what I call it when the only thing that's going to slow you down or snag you is the Suki lights that we have at a variety of intersections. 8, 10, and 16 busy right now. North southbound. If you're headed towards 8, 10, and 16, it's a little bit busy. A little bit of traffic. They'll slow you down over at the Happy Mart intersection, but once you're past that, it's smooth sailing into the downtown Hagåtña area. A little bit of traffic up and down the Roy T. Damion Street and the Toto Cañada Loop area, so watch out for that. Traveling southbound into Hagåtña shouldn't be a major problem, but it looks like we got a little bit of work in front of Citibank at that intersection right now. It looks like more cars than are usual at this time, and that's kind of the way the traffic gizmo works. Is they've got years and years worth of data at a variety of these locations, and when there's more traffic than usual, or it is slowing down more than the average over a long span of time, that's when I get to notice that there might be something wrong. So that's why I rely so much on this traffic gizmo as opposed to having somebody I got to pay minimum wage to drive a car that I don't own around town. Sorry, too much inside baseball? Right on. It's 8:41. That's Right Now traffic on the point.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoked Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoked Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Yes, and handy use of this trusty meme, going back to a thing that we were talking about just a little bit ago with Renee and Mana. Dunkin' Donuts talking about coming out with a new kind of sausage sandwich that doesn't actually have any sausage in it. They're using that Impossible Whopper stuff that is going to be going in that, and that is becoming kind of an en vogue in the food scene, where you get a lot of people that say we want something that tastes like beef, but we don't want it to be made of beef. And they've gotten really good at it. If the Impossible Whopper is a good example of it, they've gotten very, very good at it. I have had 2 Impossible Whoppers, and I got to tell you, in neither case could I distinguish the flavor of the Impossible Whopper from a regular Whopper over at BK. So they're obviously moving in the right direction. There's a whole lot of people that are taking notice of it and beginning to try to figure out how they can incorporate it into their menus. But there's this guy who sent me this meme. If vegetables are so good, why do vegans always try to make it taste like meat? And the answer is because it just is. There are some people that say that there might be an environmental upside to manufacturing a meat-like substance out of vegetables, and that is we'd need fewer cows, which means that we'd need to plow less of the Amazon rainforest down, and then probably less methane gas that's going to be coming out the back. Don't you play that fart sound effect again?
No, I won't, but I was just going to say, the fact is a lot of the agriculture that's grown is actually grown to feed these animals that we are killing and eating, and so it will actually work on a couple of different levels, so they say, that will help reduce some of those farts.
I have, it's one of those things where we're just going to tilt over in the other direction. You'll remember, it wasn't that long ago. In fact, I was over at Southern Mountain Gear, and they wanted to make a big deal. They said, Ray, you like to go to the beach? We've got sunscreen. We've got this great environmentally friendly sunscreen. I said, well, I don't actually wear sunscreen. I'm not one of those guys that bought into the hysteria. And they said, well, okay, but if you do, you should, because of the hole in the ozone layer. And there was something come out the other day that said the hole in the ozone layers is actually gotten smaller than it has ever been on record. So think about that. 8:44 in the morning, and got enough time here to spend with the extremely busy Daphne Shimizu from the Department of Revenue and Tax. Good morning, Daph. How you doing?
Good morning, Ray. I'm doing great.
How's business over at Rev and Tax? You collecting from all those deadbeat non-taxpayers?
You know what, Ray? We're always working to collect all the time. That's been our number one charge, is to work to collect. So our team's been working hard, as you know, to do that.
There was a story that come out yesterday, and it got me scratching my head and questioning what I thought was clear logic. And it was a report that you guys had sent off to the Office of the Public Auditor and BJ Cruz, outlining how much money was made for the carnival, with the casino and the games of chance at the carnival. And it struck me as odd because I thought that number was way too low. What the heck? Daph, give me an idea of how those numbers came out and why maybe they're not meeting my expectations for suite revenue?
Sure. Okay. So, so you're likely referring to, I guess, what's set forth in Public Law 3510, and when our legislature did pass this law, pass this bill, made it law. What they did was they added certain sections, I guess, in the rules and regs for the games of chance for rev and tax to report on, and there were 5 items. One of them was the number of licenses issued. The second one was the names and addresses of each licensee.
Okay.
There was also the aggregate amount of license fees collected, and then the names and addresses of all persons detected in violation. And the last item was the total amount of business privilege tax and other taxes collected. And so those were the items which we reported on when we submitted our report to both our governor's office and then also to the public auditor. So do you have the report in front of you?
Well, I don't have it in front of me. I've got a story that refers to some of the numbers, and it looks like the net of all of the gaming came out to about $378,000, and then you put the 4% gaming tax on top of that, and so the net revenue for the government of Guam, at least in terms of the games of chance, vendors and et cetera, $15,151, and like I said, it just feels counterintuitive because there's all kinds of money flowing through there, and I thought the taxes would be bigger on that, and as it turns out, it wasn't. BJ says it's because we're taxing on the net instead of the gross.
Right, and so the way that the form that was that's required to be reported on and where taxes are paid for gaming is Form 3260. And how Form 3260 works is it's actually it's where the calculation of taxes is based on net of payouts. So so that amount of taxes that's paid is based on, of course, there's gross payouts minus any payouts is going to result in what the the amount that's subject to tax.
Yeah.
And then that's how that $15,151 was derived.
So the question that I had yesterday was, how much did it cost the taxpayers to send agents from the Department of Revenue and Taxation to surveil, make sure that all of the money was accounted for, make sure that we didn't have anybody under the age of 21 that was playing these games? I mean, you sent people to go to the carnival and the casino every night that it was open to do this. How much did that cost us?
I don't have the final numbers on that, Ray. Actually, that's something that I would have to go back to our team on. Well,
because I'm curious as to whether or not that if we made any money on this, or did it actually cost us money? If our net revenue to rev and tax was only $15,151, I got my fingers crossed that it didn't cost us $20,000 in payroll to send people over to watch the games.
Well, I hear you, but I think that, with regards to how we were supposed to be paid out, I think it was clear in the law that the payments to rev and tax were going to be coming from the proceeds of the vendors of the carnival, and not necessarily from the taxes. So, that was, how that was contemplated from the start when the games of chance were being discussed.
Oh, I see. So it's the same money, but just different pockets than for the origin.
Yeah, I guess you can put it that way.
Gotcha.
I do have to say though that I think that our team did a great job to be out at the carnival for 60 days straight, from start to finish. Sometimes our team was out there past midnight, and actually like after midnight or after a certain time, the lights go off. So we had. And we have female investigators and people who were out there. So it was quite scary down there, and they were out there and, making sure that, that people were following the law. So it wasn't an easy feat by far, but I feel very happy that our team was out there and that we were able to provide some level of confidence to our people that, that things were operating as they should have been.
Well, and considering it had never been done before, I think in the history of liberation carnivals and casinos here on Guam, I don't know that there has ever been the kind of surveillance that we had from that. What lesson do we learn here, Daphne? As you're going to be doing this again next year, I'm sure. Are there different numbers that we need to take hold of? Do we need to go back to the legislature and ask them to apply the tax on the gross instead of the net? Are there reporting requirements that you think could be done better?
I really I really believe that in order to come up with good, some good recommendations for this next year, if this were to happen, is that really there needs to be a good roundtable discussion, not just with Reventac, but with all of the agencies involved. I mean, we were not the only ones out there. We also, of course, employed the help of GPD. They were out there and they were assisting us as well because, we know we can't do 100% enforcement on our own. We were only really given budget for a couple of people, and so it was difficult for us to be trying to man every area because of the way that we were set up. But again, I think that next year will be important for all of us to gather and make sure that we share our experiences. Our team still, of course, is having to come together. We just finished the report early this month. Our team still has to sit down and kind of do, like an aftermath, a review of and put together some recommendations. So that's something that we still have yet to do, but because we were kind of focusing on how do we get the report information gathered and making sure that we, submitted it on time. So, but I think that a good gathering of people, I mean, again, all of the agencies that were involved, it was a big effort, and we had people there every day, not just us, but GPD and other agencies.
Yeah.
So I think that it would be great if we all got together and shared our experiences, because our experiences, are very, of course, just from our perspective. And I'm sure, the other agencies have a lot too.
Well, I'm sure the Mayor's Council have got, we'll have a couple of comments that they want to throw into the mix as well. BJ Cruz over at the Public Auditor's Office telling PNC yesterday that they're trying to figure out what's going on here. He did some back-of-the-envelope calculations, and it looks like everybody that went into it did it knowing practically that they were going to lose money on the process, yet still decided that that's what they were going to do.
Right. I mean, and that I can't speak on because I'm not familiar. I mean, we were really focused on just trying to make sure that from our side, because you're right, this is the first time that Reventac has been involved in this way. We wanted to make sure that we understood what was required of us. We also, we provided testimony. We were at the public hearing that I think went all the way until almost 10 o'clock at night one night to make sure that we were there sharing, with regards to the timeline requirements for the reporting, that it took into consideration the fact that there's no way that we could, possibly, I think, have the original deadline was like 30 days, that we couldn't have possibly reported within 30 days. So there were things like that we were really focused on. And again, especially because this is the first time that we had done this. But, I feel our people now, in the next year, we definitely have experience. We'll definitely, we have, learned. And so in this next year, if this were to happen again, I'm confident in our team that will be, Well,
BJ is going to be looking at it with eagle eye. He's asking the question, how much did they lose and why would they continue doing this unless they're doing something else? Is it a money laundering operation or are they not reporting all of their winnings, Cruz asked. So I think when you get into that roundtable discussion, I think BJ is going to be asking some pretty wild questions.
Sure. But some other things, if you don't mind, can I just share?
I was going to ask you about when I got to get my real ID at some point. I've got a driver's license that I got just last year. My last birthday, I got a new driver's license, and I'm okay with it, and I have a passport. But I'm worried that if I get on a plane, somebody's going to require me to have a real ID at some point.
Well, so we're undertaking a campaign for the real ID because, as you know, the deadline for Real ID compliance is going to be for the October 2020. And so in this next year, our team's going to be we're meeting with various agencies to make sure that people understand what's required in order to get a Real ID. I've been told that, when some people have traveled to the States that they've been required to have a Real ID when they rent a car. Yep. I can't confirm that because I haven't rented a car in a very, very long time. I take Uber or...
I don't know how to drive in the States. That's probably why I've been divorced twice, is I have no clue when it comes to driving in the States and always let somebody else do it.
Raymond. So anyway, I love you, Ray. So anyway, but we're, if again, October 2020 is the deadline for Real ID compliance. Of course, on Guam, we have a little bit of a different dynamic because a lot of our people, when we travel, of course, we have passports. But if you do want to get a Real ID compliant ID, you can get online, you can schedule an appointment. You'll have to make sure that you meet there's 5 requirements. There's proof of identification, proof of birth, proof of social security number, proof of residency. You can actually, if you bring in make sure you have your birth certificate, your social security card, your mayor's verification. That should actually suffice in terms of,
My mayor's he's never in his office. He's always out working. So can I just go with my power bill or my water bill?
Absolutely. So as long as you have a utility bill or even a mortgage statement that indicates what your address is, where your residence is, then that should also suffice. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we got that, and we'll help you out with the campaign. We'll run ads for you if you need.
Absolutely. That would be so helpful. In fact, we're going to be meeting with some of the federal agencies to see how they might be able to assist us maybe in getting out some of our marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
So we really appreciate it, Raymond, if you would help us with that.
Yeah, whatever. We're pals, right? So if it's you asking, the answer is always going to be yes. How's that?
All right. And some other things, we're going to be sending out some media releases on some other things. Of course, we've been working on collections. We always are very happy. We work with the AG's office very well, and we've been working with them closely on some, efforts as well. So you'll be we're always going to be making sure that the media is getting all of that information. So we're going to get those out to our media partners, and I'm expecting some releases, if not today, then by Monday, and we'll share those with you.
I got you. Well, I'm taking a look at a website that's got some information on Real ID and why this is going to be, as you point out, not so much of a burden for you and I because we've got passports. A lot of the people here on Guam, by virtue of the fact that sometimes we got to go someplace else that requires a passport, has got them. But not everybody in the contiguous United States has them, and it will make it so if you don't have them, there are going to be some states where travel and getting into and out of airports, something as simple as that, might be quite a burden for you. So we'll talk about that.
And then, something else that has happened with regards to the Real ID, because there was an issue with regards to with regards to FAS citizens getting Real IDs because of the type of documentation that they have. But that was addressed recently. That was something that our team had been communicating with the consul generals of various outer islands with, and also was actually it wasn't something that was unique to Guam. It was also something that senators in Hawaii were reaching out to Washington D.C. on. So with regards to early on where we had issues with for our brothers and sisters from the freely associated states in getting their Real IDs, now that shouldn't be a problem because that issue with regards to their documentation was already resolved. So that's good news. For those people who may be working on the bases who might have had problems early on getting Real IDs, or Real ID compliant IDs. So now that's been resolved. So that's good news. And again, we're continuing to work to make sure that people are familiar with the requirements for Real ID, and we want people to come in so that way we don't have a huge influx. Yeah,
take care. Don't wait until the end of August next year to go and start calling in your connections over at Rev and Tax. Take care of it as quickly as you possibly can. 8:58. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Daph. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Ray. Have a great day.
I will. You got my WhatsApp, so whatever you need for the campaign, just beat me.
Absolutely. Thanks, and have a good day.
I will. It was quiz night day today. It's my favorite day. It's my... I was going to say, there are 2 days of the year that I absolutely love. I mean, obviously Christmas is one of them. My birthday is one of them. Super Bowl is pretty up there. It's just a day to goof off with your buddies drinking beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. But there's quiz night that's going to be taking place. Becky and the entire team at Habitat for Humanity Guam is throwing the fall version of it. You're not required to, but considering it's going to be Halloween right around the corner, if you want to come in some kind of a costume like Kelly Fitzpatrick always does, you might want to reach into your costume closet and see what it is that you can put together for tonight. It's going to be over at the Sheraton, and the dinner's going to be fantastic, and I'm the MC, I'm the quiz master. I'll take you through the process, and I don't know who has more fun, me or the audience. I got a feeling it's me.
Probably so. As we get ready to exit, I just thought I'd share with the listeners a thought to ponder that we're only 60 days left in this decade.
Wow, that is something. Wait a second. Mind blown. Stand by. Fox News Live's coming up next. This is KUSG. Hagutnya. 93.3 is The Point.
Formally calling for a vote. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Lindsey Graham introducing a resolution condemning the process Democrats are taking in the impeachment inquiry of President Trump.
Graham, a veteran of the Bill Clinton impeachment, says House Democrats are doing it wrong.
What you're doing today, in my view, is unfair to the president and is dangerous to the presidency. And I think 41 Republican senators and growing is a strong signal to our House colleagues that you're off script here.
Fox News is told private interviews are expected to wind down and public hearings are expected to start around mid-November.
Fox's Mike Emanuel at the Capitol. Democrats and Republicans setting aside their differences for a few hours today as the body of Maryland Democrat Elijah Cummings lies in state at the Capitol with universal praise for the longtime lawmaker.
I have called him our North Star, our guide to a better future for our children. Elijah has said that our children are our living messengers to a future we will never see.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
I only heard respect for how he carried out the business. We respected him because he was good. We respect him because he beat us many a times. We respect him because of what he fought for, he believed in.
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. Funeral services will be held for Cummings tomorrow in Baltimore. Charges now filed in Alabama against two people for the kidnapping and murder of 3-year-old Camille McKinney, who vanished earlier this month during a family party. Patrick Devon Stallworth, Derek Arisha Brown charged with capital murder of a child under age 14.
Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the family as they grieve the loss of Camille.
Jefferson County DA Danny Carr. America's listening to Fox News.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
Vice President Mike Pence says the Trump administration remains hopeful about a trade deal with China, even as he blasted that country for human rights abuses.
Speaking at the Wilson Center in Washington, the vice president criticized China for its handling of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, saying it'll be much harder to reach a trade deal if Beijing resorts to violence.
To the millions in Hong Kong who have been peacefully demonstrating to protect your rights these past months, we stand with you.
Vice President Pence's speech came just weeks before the president heads to Chile in hopes of finalizing phase 1 of a trade deal with Beijing. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Google expands its well-being tools to help people take a digital detox.
Google rolls out 6 Android apps designed to help folks reduce screen time. They include Desert Island, which calls on users to go a day with only a set of essential apps. Morph, which shows different apps based on the time of day and a user's location. Postbox lets folks choose when to receive notifications. Unlock Clock, a wallpaper showing how often one unlocks their phone. WeFlip, helping friends and family unplug at the same time. And Paper Phone, which prints a hard copy of helpful information you need. Google says it hopes to inspire developers and designers to keep digital well-being top of mind when building technology. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
I'm stuck in Folsom Prison.
The sheriff of Nashville presenting the Johnny Cash Museum proof that Cash, who cultivated an image of an outlaw, was granted law enforcement authority at one time. Darren Hall gave the museum a blown-up image of Cash's September 1979 Deputy Sheriff Commission card, complete with Cash's headshot, fingerprint, and signature. The card authorized Cash to arrest any and all persons violating the criminal laws of the state of Tennessee. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge-watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by American President Lines, APL, global presence in a local home, and the guys over at Wendy's. And if you have not had breakfast yet, I realize at 9:05, and you're probably going, I'm hungry. I wonder why I'm hungry. Because you didn't eat breakfast is why you're hungry. Go with your $4 over to the nearest Wendy's and have them cook you up some breakfast vittles. We've got eggs and rice, and then we've got breakfast meats that we can fold into that. Applewood smoked bacon, and my personal favorite is the country fried chicken with the white gravy on the swimming on top of that scrambled egg. It's the goodness. It's the white gravy, and they tell me that if you're nice, they will give you extra white gravy that you can dip stuff into. Like, I don't know, a burger. Find out more by going and enjoy a breakfast today at Wendy's.
Real Talk Radio is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
What does it mean for me? And that's a question that is asked on a website called Upgraded Points, one of these insider strategies to maximize your credit card rewards and your airline mileage and things, which is a real science for some people. I don't get it. I don't travel enough to be one of those guys that spends a lot of time sorting through who's got the best features and benefits of their airline programs. Besides, there's really only a couple of airlines that fly out of Guam. You got United, you got Philippine Airlines. Back in the day, there used to be a whole lot more, but oh well, deregulation, right? So it asked the question, what does it mean for me? Why you need to get yourself a real ID. Airports are considered federal facilities, this says, and therefore this act affects your ability to enter them. In order to board your flight, starting October 1st, 2020, every state and territory resident will need to present a Real ID compliant license or ID or another acceptable form of identification, like a passport or a passport card. And they've had passport cards out for years. I mean, if you lived on a state that was bordering Canada or Mexico, that was the easiest thing. You get one of those passport cards, and then you use that to get in and out of the country, as opposed to the paper passport. At any rate, if you want to access a federal facility, those are the things that you're going to need, including boarding commercial aircraft. Most states and territories have already begun issuing new licenses. So you've got until October the 1st, 2020 to obtain a Real ID compliant license. Check your license to be sure if it's a Real ID one. I'm told they're supposed to have a little star on them that says, okay, this is a compliant device, and you can use that to enter an egress from the place. Do you have one on yours?
No,
I know for a fact mine is not.
Yeah, I just got little palm trees. Well, see, here's the rub. They made me go get all this darn verification of identification and all this crap because it was supposed to be a real ID. And then they were like, oops, well, it's not actually a real ID.
Yeah, sorry, but they're not compliant.
But I had to make 3 trips to Ribbon Tax to get all the paperwork right.
Yeah, for which I recall profuse apologies. I remember there were people there. There was Gomez And Mossy,
not at the
we're
time.
very, very. No. They're certainly not going to pay you back for that kind of time.
And I wasn't 55 yet, so I had to stand in a long line.
Well, so this is my understanding from the last conversation is like I said, I got one last year. I got a driver's license last year, and so it's good for a long time.
Yeah.
And I paid for it to be good for a long time, and now I'm going to have to replace it between here and there. I don't get credit for the version of the driver's license I bought, so I will have to get another driver's license, and I don't get a discount. There's no break. There's no the nearest thing I think is I get to stand in the senior citizens line.
Yeah, you get
that's all I get. That's the only big deal on.
But let's face it, when you're in rev and tax, that's kind of like riding a short bus. People stare at you and laugh.
It doesn't
and
matter.
giggle.
Yep. 9:09. It's the Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be anymore. Doubts cast on Carnival Gaming Report. The audit of gaming revenues are urged. Former Senator and now Public Auditor B.J. Cruz taking a look at the numbers that Daphne and I were talking about. These are the numbers that when it's all said and done. This is how much money we made on taxes from the carnival and the casino and the games. $15,151. Now, towards the end of the conversation with Daphne, she was talking about having agents. From the Department of Revenue and Taxation, not the lowest paid among the folks in the government of Guam, but agents of the Department of Revenue and Taxation, 60 days, 60 nights over at the carnival. So even though the money comes out of a different pot, we've probably spent $25,000 to have people there surveilling the activities, for which the revenues we got was $15,151. And you just go, it wasn't thought out all the way through. And I'm guilty. If you heard the show yesterday, you heard me fall on the sword on this one. I'm just as guilty because I'm one of the guys that said, dude, they're gambling. Let's tax the heck out of it and make some money finally. And we did, but as it turns out, the cost you see of trying to make the money was probably in excess of what we actually got. So gonna have to come up with another kind of scheme. As I said yesterday as well, I think one of the big problems associated with that was that we were flawed in our marketing. We should have done a better job marketing the casino, marketing the games of chance and skill, and really going out there and trying to find I don't know, new gamblers to get out there and enjoy the process. 888-825-5888-TALK. Who's playing around in the Facebooks? I did have to restart the feed a little bit ago, and I'm glad that just about everybody came back, including Gary Shawnols. What do we got? 36 Civil Engineer Squadron. Haunted house tonight, 7 to midnight on Woostig Road up in Dededo next to Crown Bakery. Only cost you $10 to get in there. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate the invite. Director Cho's online. I see Dennis Ben-Sur, Sandra de Leon Guerrero. Is hanging out, saying Hafaday Guahan. It's good to see you there. Tom Tahaji. Tom, are you coming to Habitat for Humanity quiz night tonight? If you're not, I want you to know a few months ago, I celebrated in May, or was it just June? Or maybe it was July. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. I celebrated the 40th anniversary of me being in the radio game. It's 40 some odd years ago. I did my first overnight at K Stereo, and I thought, you know what, this radio thing, I like it. I think I'm gonna, and I might one of these days be good at it. I might be passable and fair at the game. But anyway, so Tom Tahaji asked me if he could make a donation to one of my favorite charities. And I said, yeah. He said, who? I said, Habitat for Humanity. And he gave me an envelope. And I've held on to that envelope. And tonight at Habitat for Humanity, I'm going to give it to Becky or somebody over at the Habitat and say it is from you through me. So thanks very much. I appreciate that, and I do not forget. Yoich Ring-Il is there. Chris Chip is going to be at the Habitat for Humanity quiz night. Joe Cruz asking the question about, if you got to have mayor's verification to get your real ID. My mayor's in jail. It's the guy from Zonia, the man in charge of the Zonia rules. How do I get a mayor's verification if my man is in jail? Annette Ada Vasquez is online this morning. So is Jose Martinez. Jennifer Ross. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is on. Lynn Vince Borja Polino. I got Millie Fison. Is there Smugs on? Chris from Big Abetta. Ming O'Ree. Auntie Loli is on. Celebrating her birthday with the program. So is Carl T.C. Gutierrez. Catherine Cruz Norton. Lady D. Ike Iseki. And Nita Santos. Chris Abalencia. Pam Duvall is with us just about every day, but I like to say her name because she's so sweet. Eric Carlson. Everybody is sleeping on Philly, kind of when Philly beat Green Bay in Green Bay. It must be some kind of sports thing. Keena McCausland's online. I'm looking for a note from Keena where she mentioned everybody's name that is listening to the program in the States, including CJ, who is celebrating a birthday today. And, oh, that's nice. Belen Siddell is online. Belen Siddell, one of my favorite running pals these days. And every time that she does selfies, and among the cutest selfies are the ones where she's hanging under, how do I say that? Hanging from the trees.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It is kind of nice to watch her go and find a tree out somewhere. Joe's on a line with a...
real quick before we get Joe, it would not be a Friday show
if
yeah. So I've been remiss in my duties here. I apologize.
You hear that and makes me want to do that Domino's roulette pizza story again.
Oh yeah,
because it'd take a little bit of the pain from biting into the ghost pepper slice. Joe has a clarification on the zombie run. Go ahead, Joe.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. You're coming in 5x5.
Perfect. Yeah. So earlier, I just got word that there might have been some conflicting information going out that the 5K for the zombie run.
Zombie run tomorrow night over in Teadston.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. So I don't know where the info is coming in on my end, but someone said they heard something different on the radio. So I just wanted to clarify.
Somebody must have been one of the other disinformation stations. As far as I know, the zombie run is going to take place tomorrow night, 5 p.m. at Teadston.
Yes, showtime at 5 p.m. and starting at 6:30.
Gotcha. And it's a fundraiser for Manielu, and appreciate you guys and the team from Axe Murder Tours to go out and stand in front of that. So, folks, there is no 5K tomorrow morning, so the 5K is going to be taking place tomorrow evening, zombie run, and watch out because there are going to be actual fast zombies on the course.
That's right. Thank you so much, Ray.
Not a problem, Joe. Anytime you need me, you call.
We appreciate it.
All right, talk to you pretty soon. 9:16 in the morning, 888-8255. If you need something, go ahead and give me a ring. On the table of... what happened? What do you want me to do? You want me to do the giveaway? Yeah. Okay, fine. I did come up with a question. One of the big news stories yesterday involved... Was it yesterday or the day before? It came out of the magistrate report day before, but I think we reported on it yesterday. Is this guy... that was in the business of selling air conditioners to people. And he lined up a couple of suckers and tried to sell them an air conditioner, and they paid him up to and including the installation fees and things like that. They put some folding money in this guy's hand. And did they get the air conditioner that they purchased? No, they did not. Get the air conditioner that they purchased, and the complaints have been sworn out with the Guam Police Department. It was the Aircon Con is what it was referred to in the Guam Daily Post. Now, using that as a platform for my radio contest for the international radio listening audience, I know a thing or two about air conditioners. I don't know everything about them, and as a consequence, I'm not the guy to do any kind of repair or maintenance other than just taking the screen out and flushing that down and cleaning those things out. But I am familiar with the phrase BTU. Are you familiar with the phrase BTU? Well, you buy an air conditioner from somebody, and maybe they come and install it. You know, if you got a little room that's going in, maybe a 9,000 BTU is going to help you out. If it's a larger room, you can get them 12,000 BTUs, and then after a certain number, they just go into different ranges. They just go into like sheer tonnage, quarter ton, half ton worth of compression on these things. A very, very interesting world. The question though is, what does the BTU stand for? Do you have a concept? Do you have a clue as to what the BTU stands for? Now, I'm going to give you choices. This, by the way, this contest, this version is called The Answer Is Always C. So even if you completely have no clue, you've got a shot at winning. So what does BTU stand for? Does it stand for Bula Tau Tau Udu? as in the people over at the legislature, what a bunch of Bula Tau Tau Udus they are. Or does BTU stands for Bula Taki Underwear? And I'm not going to spend too much time explaining that or giving you an example. Or does BTU stand for British Thermal Units? And already lined up to win this contest, $20 worth of tickets at Aki Matsuri is the other Governor Leon Guerrero, Ken Leon Guerrero. Good morning, Ken.
And the answer is C.
The answer is C. Is a British Thermal Units is absolutely right. And that's how the game is played, ladies and gentlemen. I got another dozen of these things to give away, and so Monday we'll come in and launch a few more questions for you to play and win. It's just an excuse for me to have a good time with the audience. Not like I don't have a good time when I talk with Ken LG. How you doing today, bud?
I just got my real ID.
You did, so you'll be able to enter federal properties around the country
And get on an airplane. Yes, it's an amazing freedom. In fact, I'm heading to district court right now just for the hell of it, so I can walk in and show them my real ID.
Well, you won't need it until this time next year, until October 1st of 2020. But I think just for sheer bragging rights, does it look any different than the driver's license you had previously?
Yes, it does. It looks different, and it's got the gold star in the upper right.
Okay, so significant that it is a real ID. So that's all anybody would need to look at is the gold star. Does it look like it would be any more difficult to counterfeit? I mean, if I had laminating gear and laser printers and things like that, would I be able to make my own copy of the real ID?
Well, the holographic image is pretty good. That's hard to counterfeit.
So, but it's a holographic image of what? I'm told it's a holographic image of Lou and Josh. Is that correct?
No, it's not. Thank God. It is a holographic image of the Guam seal, which is defended mightily by Josh. In fact, I'm sure right now he's in his office with his AR-15s, lasers, tasers.
Mm-hmm. Sharks with lasers, yes.
Yeah. But here's a hint. For those who don't know it, there is a driver's license at the Ganya Shopping Center.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna floor you. I was in and out in 20 minutes. I am still in shock that I walked in and handed them all my paperwork because I prepared it before I walked in, and I knelt when I handed them the sacred mayor's letter. I got a genuflex.
Genuflex, yes.
You do that. And she took my paperwork, gave me the eye test, boom, and I was out. 20 minutes later, I'm walking out with my driver's license. So they blew away Reno.
Wow.
Reno was my standard because with Reno, it was usually an all-day event. Then they brought some consultants in, reorganized the processes. And then when I went in to get my last license in Reno, I was in and out in less than an hour, which was just unbelievable when you consider how many people were in that line. But they moved us through in less than an hour. Here in Guam at the Ganya Shopping Center, they had me in and out in 20 minutes with license in hand.
Mm.
So I was very impressed.
Well, Daphne Shimizu is going to love this call, and she we like it when we get these good customer service stories. I've generally been able to get in and out with a driver's license fairly quickly. Although I must admit when I went last year to get mine on my birthday, I must admit it took me a little bit longer to get it. I'm not sure why. It's not like hours or anything like that. I might have been in there for about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes tops. But it seems to me that it took a little bit longer than I did the time before, where I'd actually set up an appointment to meet up with the people at Rev Tax out in Barragata. But
I went to Barragata yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was really frustrated because I kept hearing all these people who'd made appointments, and they were just calling them left and right. So that system is working because I walked in yesterday to Barragata, got in the senior line. There are about 15 people ahead of me in the senior line and 30 people ahead of me in the number line. But there's 8 people handling the number line, so I kept my number just in case. And the senior line moves a little slower because, well,
because we're seniors, we go slow.
Yeah, we don't hear when they call us.
Yeah, you got to call us very, very loud. Bring a bell, something like that. That's how you get our attention. The other conversation. I'm glad that you're chiming in today because there's a big deal being made about 8,000 COLA checks going out, and as I said earlier, sometimes you get spiteful commentators and snide editorial comments about the taxpayers' gift to the retirees of the government of Guam. Are you one of those people?
No, I'm not, because I wasn't here during that period of time, so I wasn't aware of what transpired or how it transpired.
There's $14 million that are going out in this gift to the retirees. You know, the men and women, the unsung heroes of the government of Guam who built from scratch just the dreams and desires, that thing that is now the government of Guam, and they're all getting $2,000 checks today.
Well, I'm more concerned about the fact that for 4 years, I tried to get the legislature to move forward on delinking so we could eliminate the EITC, which is only about $52 million a year. So I was looking at a bigger swing.
Yeah, well, I guarantee that's not going to happen. That's a bite too big for us, I think, to handle. And as many times as I hear the conversation, I never hear anybody take it to the next level, to some kind of executive order, some kind of letter that needs to get sent off to Washington D.C. that says, "Okay, we're doing it, and this is what we're going to be replacing it with."
Well, that's one of the things I'm going to be bringing up because, as you know, I stood at the status quo task force, and I'm going to be going to the decolonization board meeting on the 5th. Already, I'm getting pushback from Michael Bach. I can never say his name.
Oh, Miguel Bavacqua, Dr. Bavacqua.
Bavacqua, yeah. And so he's already pushing back in his column yesterday, so I'm preparing my response.
You must be headed in the right direction. You know, you never know. You never know what your challenges are until people tell you can't do something or you shouldn't do something. Anyway, dude, I'm going to let you run. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
You will.
I hope so. That's the other Governor Leon Guerrero. I'm going to put you on hold, though, and let Mike pick up the phone and tell you how you can come by the radio station and grab $20 worth of tickets that you can use at Akimatsuri. Spends just like money. And maybe the worst feeling that I've ever get when it comes to Akimatsuri, the Japanese Autumn Festival, is that feeling you get when you get home after the evening is all done. And you're full from eating a lot of Japanese food, and you got a nice buzz going because you got some Japanese beer in you, and you've been listening to them do the bun dance all night long. You reach into your pocket and you realize that you still have coupons. Oh, my God, I still have coupons. That's got to be the way they make money on these things, is taking that American money. Obviously, you know, the tickets come back in and everybody squares off at the end of the night how much money was made by everybody. But there is, and I think it's called seniorage, where you bought this at a value, and the value is only good for, until 9 o'clock that night. And then at 10 o'clock, this turns into scratch paper. Right? You paid money for it. So what happens to that extra dollars that does not get redeemed in the form of a product, a juicy beer and a juicy burger or something like that? Obviously stays with the town. Senior, it's a great concept. See if you can apply it today. 927, I was asking a question about your real ID. Does it look like something that can be counterfeited? And naturally, and it's thank God these people are not sinister. Otherwise, we'd be in just all kinds of trouble. I've got the possibility that guys like Smug Wimp, who's got the knowing, he knows how to do the codes, and he knows he's a man of certain skills. And he says we could go and find a Fargo card printer, something like that. You could get these things duplicated, according to Chris, at a little shop in Manila. I'm sure you can. Yeah, the holographic image, Smug says, is just an overlay. Get a roll of it, and you're in business. And like I said, the holographic image of Josh Tenorio and Lulian Guerrero might be a little bit difficult to duplicate, but you start working on it now because they're going to be in office for another 7 years. 9:28 in the morning, 888-8255. Joey Charfer's online, and as I said, Smug and Chris are there. Pat Sajo is goofing off. Luis Blanco, LB, is on. That's my 2030 buddy who's doing a lot more posting these days up on Facebook. And he's got this great boomerang where he's actually flipping over and he's going back and forth on the boomerang. Great use, my friend, of that boomerang technology. Hope you only had to do that in one take. So the other items in the table of contents, and this one here. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up in a newspaper. Guam Daily Post, page 2 today, and a study that says Guam water supply could diminish by 2080. And you read the article. And you get to thinking about some of the things that they're talking about in this article. Decreased overall rainfall, 7% less. Decreased stream flow in some areas of southern Guam, 18% less water in the streams down south. Now, that's a big deal because a lot of residents in the south, you get your water from streams. That's surface water collected, and they scrub them through these flocculators and then stick them in the pipes. Reduced groundwater recharge of the northern Guam Lens aquifer by 19%. These are all things that are just predicted to happen, climate change and history, and they've looked at all the numbers. And by 2080, we could see a diminished supply of water on Guam. But that's not the part that got to me. The part that got to me is that they're talking about it being warmer on Guam. Increased average temperature to the tune of about 5.8 degrees warmer in 2080 than it is now.
That's hot, man.
That's a 94-degree day.
That's Texas hot.
Yeah. And no, it's not Texas hot because Texas is a dry heat.
No,
it's not a dry. Okay, so so the mugginess plus. So we've got 5.8 more degrees, a 94 average degree day every day. Right, and then obviously that's going to happen at night as well, right? I mean, it follows. I mean, the Earth is not going to magically cool off at night immediately. So I imagine it might be another 3 or 4 degrees warmer even in the nighttime hours.
Yeah, so we'll see daytime highs around 95 and overnight lows around 87.
80? Yeah. Yuck.
That's almost exactly like South Texas, right there on the border, what they call the Rio Grande Valley, which extends from Brownsville on the coast up inland into about McAllen. And you get, at any point, you're less than 100 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, which is a very warm body of water, very humid. And man, it gets up to about 105 every day in the summertime. And then you'll see the clock at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it says 95 degrees.
But here's the other part here. They're talking is a prediction based on the year 2080, which is 60 years from now. Neither one of us are going to be around. But let's put it. I don't
know about you, bro. I'm going to live forever.
Okay. 120 years old, fine. But I was trying to sort it out in my head what Guam would be like. I mean, never mind the climate change. Never mind the fact that it's going to be warmer, right? But if their predictions come true, but try to imagine what Guam could be like in 2080. What kind of significant changes are ahead? Not for us. My daughter will be an old lady by then. Yeah. My daughter will be in her 70s by the time 2080 rolls around. What's Guam going to be? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
My daughter will be an old woman by then. What's it going to be like for her? What from here, from now, this time, will still be standing? I'm thinking that god-awful, butt-ugly chain-link fence in front of John F. Kennedy will probably still be there in 2080. It'd be rusty. They just keep replacing the sections of it as
maybe by then they'll have virtual fences, so it'll be a virtual butt-ugly chain-link fence.
But ponder that. Think about the buildings, all of the bright, shiny buildings that we've got down in Tumon. How many of those are still going to be standing? How many of them are still going to be anything maintained by the government of Guam is going to be demolished 2 or 3 times over between here and there? But is there like John F. Kennedy High School? What's that facility going to look like in another 60 years? Will was thinking about the Two Lovers Point, that thing that juts out over the top of it. Will that still be there? Will there be seismic activity that brings that down? But ponder that, if you will. If you're looking for some kind of a ponderable here today, something to rub your mustache and your beard with here, ladies. What do you think it's going to be like? How much of what we've got now, the infrastructure of our daily lives, what would we recognize if we were to come back again in 2080? Think about that. 9:33 in the morning. That's iConnect time. Now, ponder that. Ponder a new career. They are looking for all kinds of folks over at iConnect to take on the role of corporate sales. And there's a whole thing I'm supposed to read, and naturally it's at the very bottom of my stack of scripts. If you are self-motivated, energetic, and outgoing, iConnect is looking for the right people to be part of their corporate sales team. If you've got sales experience, excellent communication skills, can work as a member of a team, you are encouraged to apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit iconnectguam.com for more information. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your fix every day with the Points NFL Pick'em contest. Get the latest updates as we check out the past week's performance and break down the upcoming action. Get your game on by calling the hotline at 888-TALK or sound off on Facebook Live at thepoint.gu. League members get a chance to win some awesome weekly prizes with a shot for your choice of a new GTA phone. The NFL Pick'em contest is brought to you by Current Guam with special thanks to GTA.
Is there more? Could be more. Smug says, what will survive? Hemlani Apartments. They'll all still be there. James Howard, the Laddie Stone will still be standing. Those were built to last. Well, they're made out of actual stone. Remember, they carved those things out of living rock. So yeah, I imagine that those are still going to be around. Think about it in these terms. Like as I said, if she makes it to that year, Miami will be about 75 years old.
Wow,
that's something to think about. And I wonder, in 2080, who from now will be remembered, and what will they be remembered for? You think about, some of we were talking this morning about legacy and Uncle Frank Shimizu. And, you figure a couple of generations, even after the greatest of our time, have passed on. Their legacies, all of that stuff, just be kind of something in a history book somewhere. What will still stand, and who will remember? Will we be remembered? Will I be remembered? My daughter's going to be 75 years old. Kids and grandkids go, oh yeah, I think we used to have a guy, my grandfather, great-grandfather used to work on the radio. And that may be all they know about me.
Geopolitically, on a larger scale, what will it look like? Will the U.S. still have access
will there
to Guam?
Will there still be
will
a
there even
United
be
States?
Right.
Will there still be a union?
What's going, and that's a long time in the future for these things to happen. Think about what's happened since 1940 up until now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And literally in terms of Guam, you probably can expect almost the exact same thing. In 1940, ravaged, well, that was before the invasion, but still, things weren't like they are now. And now...
What will computers be like? What will the internet be like?
Man, according to Google, they've already got control of quantum computing now. That's going to change the game completely.
Quantum cloud computing.
Yeah.
Virtual computers in space. Kenny Williams says, in 2080, we can be confident that there will be cockroaches here. And they will all be descendants of the kind of cockroach that Kenny needs to come to my house and do some killing. Not this weekend, but maybe next weekend. We'll see how that plays out.
Everybody's brave to stomp out the cockroach until it flies.
Oh, yeah. I have exactly that sentiment over at my place. Once upon a times, and I'm... love this story here, and that's why I keep reaching back for this. Harmon Industrial Park Association, they got a groundbreaking. I may go to this. It's going to take place on the 29th at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're going to be doing a groundbreaking for 12,000 linear feet of road improvements in the Harmon Industrial Park. Harmon Industrial Park, unless I'm too far off, it seems to me that was the tale that my dad always told me, was once upon a time it used to be part of an airfield, and that was the north gate, that area there, the north gate of this military complex, Navy airfield, something. Right. Somebody was doing some flying in and out, and I believe that was a runway once upon a time, and then it became after the war and everything, and you've got this industrial park that kind of got built up and around it, and closing my eyes, I have no memory of the Harmon Industrial Park being anything other than what it is now.
Yeah, but when you drive through there, you can kind of tell because, of course, the road is only a certain width, but all the buildings are set way off off to the sides, which when I drove through there was indicative of this used to be an old airfield.
Airfield. And at any rate, so it has been just that one thing for as long as I've been alive, is this industrial park. There used to be warehouses out there and guys that do some kind of manufacturing. Pepsi-Cola bottling companies back there. If you want to know where the beer is, the Budweiser is, before you get it at your house, they keep it in a warehouse in the back. It's a nice warehouse.
Yeah, that's actually why I was back there.
It's a nice warehouse, the air-conditioned warehouse to keep the Budweiser cold for you. And they tell me the story that Augie Bush Jr. every once in a while will fly into Guam, and that's the first thing he wants to do is go up there and wrap his arms around the cans of beer, the Budweiser beer, because he wants to feel how cold it is in their warehouse. It's supposed to. That's why these guys got the franchises, because they were the only ones that could guarantee that it would be kept at a stable temperature all the way through the shipping process, all the way across the country, and then out to Guam. At any rate, so you got that is the deal. Now I remember vividly, though, one of the other cool things about the Harmon Industrial Park. And this goes back years. There used to be, you go all the way down to the end of it, after you pass by all of the different Korean buy me drinkies and karaoke bars that we've got back there. And oh, by the way, the cafeteria restaurant, which is awesome. And I'm thinking about it now. I need to make an excuse to get out there and have some of their Tanak-Tak. At any rate, you get all the way down. And it got to be the worst part of the road. I mean, it was just potholes with potholes in them. It was that bad. But if you could make it through there in the appropriately equipped vehicle, you could go up the hill. And there used to be a place called Fort San Juan Munya. Or just Fort Juan Munya, and that was where the Guard Readiness Center was at the time for a lot of years. But just past that entrance, you were on Route 16.
Nice.
Yes, it was nice because it meant that there was a way that you could punch through from over here on Marine Corps Drive, take that road, and then you could get out to Route 16 without having to go by the Micronesia Mall and up by the American Bakery or anything like that. It's the equivalent at the time of the Hamburger Highway.
Right.
And so there was always, but you had to, number one, you had to have a truck that would make it through the pothole jungle. And number two, you could not go through there on Saturday and Sunday mornings because it's private property. And the guy that owned that property used to have, is Petey Hemlani and Auntie Roddy, they used to have a flea market there every Saturday and Sunday. And you could still go. But the guy would charge you. He would charge you admission. It became a toll road on Saturday or Sunday mornings, and so that was the deal. I mean, if you were really in a big enough hurry, you could go through there, and the admission, everybody got charged admission, and if you were on 2 feet, it was $5, and if you were in a car, it was $5. So it would cost you $5 to drive very slowly now through the pothole jungle, and an army of people and tents that would pop up because it was a flea market morning.
And of course, you're being distracted all along the way by stuff and the smells. And
that was something else, and I'd love to see, and I don't know if it's in the plans. I would hope that it is in the plans, that in this refurbishment, the 12,000 linear feet of total road improvements, and maybe 100 feet of it, that would finally make a connection from that road back up to Route 16. That would, can you imagine it would be the equivalent of building a new road on Guam. And people would, I think there would be a whole lot of people. That's where we're going to put the statue of Uncle Frank Shimizu, who is the guy at the top of the food chain here. The project initially consists of improving 3 roadways within the Harmon Industrial Park. The main park road, Lilipog Street, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think I am. Lilipog, Lilipog Street. Which is the egress street. I think that's the one that borders GTA. Project consists of resurfacing, improve road surface conditions, as well as enhance the ingress and egress into and out of the Harmon Industrial Park. About 12,000 linear feet of total road improvements going to be done. And it gives us an opportunity to use the word ingress and egress a whole lot in the conversation. There is a story about, what was the guy's name? Is it... Ripley's Believe It or Not guy, or maybe it was the guy that did the circus, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus, where there was a sign. You know, he'd have this oddities, a tent full of oddities, and there were signs put up all around. It said, "This way to the egress," and there were all these people. It said, "What's the egress?" It kind of sound like a bird, doesn't it? Sound like some kind of crazy cockamamie bird. It's the egress, and everybody'd rush through the show and go looking around for this egress until somebody said, "Well, what's an egress?" And the guy says, "It's the door that lets you out. That's your egress right over there." 9:43 in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be. And this is what I refer to as the small talk portion of the program. We've been through a whole heck of a lot. Very, very interesting week of stories that we have been treated to. In the space of 1 week, we hear the story of the proud administration saying, "We're going to the Supreme Court. I've instructed Lehman Camacho to instruct Michael Phillips and Senator Therese Terlai to build a case for the people of Guam to go to the U.S. Supreme Court and fight for our right of appeal of the Davis verdict." And then come to find out that we're not enough time really to put together a case in the 5 days that we've got. So we'll file for an extension. Oh, you can't do that because the deadline for that has passed. So it doesn't look like there's going to be the Supreme Court challenge taking place. Mission impossible, my friend Mike Phillips said. But he also said in this morning's coverage, it ain't over till I say it's over. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. And so the Supreme Court challenge is not going to, because we're not going to the Supreme Court, does not mean it is the end of our quest for self-determination. So we'll see what happens and see when the brain power gets together what it is that they're going to be doing to work through either some form or another of a plebiscite or maybe working with Congress. Even though nobody here and the Democrat seems to like the guy that they sent to Congress, working through Congress to get some kind of a change and a commitment from the federal government of the United States of America. It's a very interesting conversation, and I'm wondering at which point when they're going to stop having it. And just say, this is not a big grassroots issue. Frankly, there's the people of Guam are looking for something else. Yeah, Uncle Robert was talking about that. I did talk with Uncle Robert, and he's not going to give up the fight one way or the other either. He's got some ideas. I'm sure he'll press. He's in Washington D.C. right now. He'll eventually get to Washington State, and we'll watch how all of that happens. That was an interesting case that went before all of us in terms of the media, and we'll see what happens next in all of this. There is, and I'm sorry, I saw this and I had to laugh out loud. There is also in today's Guam Daily Post. Let me just skim through this. 8,000 COLA checks. I already talked about that. Supreme Court not end of the self-determination. Talked about that. Guam study on oh, there it is, page 5, and it is an image here of planting seedlings at the legislature. They dug some holes into the ground over at the legislature, and a bunch of senators out there went out in their farmer clothes and said, let's plant some plants. And I don't know what all the plants that they got to plant. It says they're planting guasali and other tree species available locally. But the question that I have, since it's the legislature, and since they made such a big stink about the Nelsoni tree, I'm wondering out loud if any of the trees that they planted at the legislature were the Nelsonis. Did they go to anybody over at the Joint Command? Did they talk to anybody, Catherine Cruz Norton's friends, and said, hey, listen, we know that there is only the one good one up on the base, and the ones that we've got that are being protected as seedlings. We're going to do a tree planting over here at the legislature. Can we get one of those seedlings?
Yeah.
So that we can protect the species of this great tree of life and knowledge and learning.
I'd get 3 or 4 of them, plant a couple of them at the Congress building, a couple of them at the museum.
Governor's office?
Let's spread the love, man.
And that's what I'm saying. Is we're planting is it doesn't say that they're not there. It doesn't mention them, but that would have been, to me, the thing. would make a big deal about this tree and use it as a platform to give the Marines a hard time. And here we are with a tree planting opportunity at the legislature. No better time than to go and find some seedlings. I'd put up plaques, I'd get these dye-sublimated plaques that talk about this is the kind of tree that we're planting, and we're planting it to protect the species, but also symbolic of our desires for self-determination and control of our own land and our resources and our heritage.
Call it the Independence trees.
I guess Guasali's just going to have to do. It's 9:48. I'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoke Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoke Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, Mom, Dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Getting a couple of notes from friends out of town, actually, asking about the weekend plans. Like I said, quiz night tonight. I got that wine thing tomorrow at Hamamoto Gardens, and opportunity maybe for some camping this weekend that I might be able to get myself into.
It sounds like you're going to be busy.
And then grill marks.
Yeah.
There's going to be grill marks that we can do all weekend long, according to my weather guy. So, this is nice.
Be great. Yeah.
Got a friend of mine, and she says, got 10 people coming over for lunch tomorrow, including my parents. Sunday is my daughter's school fair, and she's out in Australia somewhere. I am volunteering at all day. Looking forward to the pony rides. I just want to see a picture of her with a riding crop. That's the first thing I think about when I got that. Yeah, so there is all of that kind of activity that's going to be taking place this weekend. I'd actually asked earlier for people to give me their weekend plans on the Facebook Live, but nobody give me any of their plans for the weekend. What do you know what? I know what's happening here. I know when I'm not wanted. You're not going to tell me about your weekend plans because you're scared I'll show up. I will come to your place and say, okay, yeah, I'm here. I'm your pal from the radio. Where's the cooler? What time are we putting food on it? When are we blessing the table? I'm here now. We can get started anytime. What do we got? Keenan McCausland said, did you see my beautiful skies, blue skies, on the WhatsApp? Actually, I haven't looked at the WhatsApp in the last couple of minutes. Let me see if there's somebody send me something that's got some beautiful skies on it. Note there from Tina Rose Munya Barnes, which might be a couple of days old because... tell you a secret. I don't generally open those things up. I wait until Cousin Troy or somebody opens them up and see what the content is. It worth reading? Is the thing. That's the Ray Gibson device here. Is you take a look at some of the things that get posted up, and you see them on Facebook. Usually, if I see something on Facebook and it has a "see more" at the bottom of it, that's usually a sign that I'm pretty much done with this. Too long, didn't read, got expectations of a long life that don't include sitting around reading everybody's diatribes on the Facebooks and in the Facebook Live. We did get a question. One of the guys, I think it was Nick, that was saying early this morning, was listening to Mona read a story about a guy in the courthouse who wants to get out of jail. And he says, well, that's not news. Everybody wants to get out of jail at some point. I mean, that's the point of being in jail is someplace that you don't want to be and you'd want to get out. And this is a story about Tom Titano, the 27-year-old charged in relation to the shooting death of Keith Castro, and currently being held on a $100,000 bail, and he is seeking some kind of release. I don't know if it's going to work for him. It wasn't that he was seeking release that was the point of the story. The point of the story was that he wanted to be remanded to third-party custodians. But the problem was, he couldn't get him to show up to the hearing. It's one thing to say, yeah, I've got Mike will watch over me. I know I'm being accused of doing something awful or participating in this awful deal, but jails. I don't want to be in jail anymore, babe. So if you, Judge Sokola, could just let me out, that would be awesome. And they said no, apparently, on this, because the guy couldn't get the third party to show up to the hearing to say, yeah, I'll take care of him. I'll make sure he doesn't get in any kind of trouble.
Yeah, sometimes saying nothing speaks loudly.
Absolutely. There's another story. I'm trying to find it. I don't think it's this one. There's another one here. Drug case defendant told to post $80 worth of bail, and that basically is the cost of a drug test. The bail, Fulcher is the guy's name, tested positive on a prior test and failed to check in with probation officers sometime in October, resulting in his 7th and 8th violation while out on release. Now, in district court, we found out the other day the number is 9. After 9 failures, Judge Menebusen will keep you in. But apparently, this guy's got one more before my cousin Judge Berdalio ends up throwing the book at him. And finally, as I'm going over the crime beat, which is the most entertaining part of my day, guilty plea in the importation of 1.5 pounds of weed. And I don't know these guys, but it is possible that they might take the award for the dumbest crooks of the day. You don't need to import weed. It's legal here. Yeah. We have it. You can go to the guy down the street that's always had dope. He'll be happy to sell you some. This guy he spent $3,000 or so, $3,600 to have somebody in California mail him 1.5 pounds of marijuana. The easiest drug to detect in the world. Every dog can be trained to sniff out marijuana. And so I'm sure that's one of the ways that they were able to find out about this guy. Anyway, so him and his brother go after it, and this is the surprise now, is not that they're trying to embark on a career of crime by being marijuana dealers in a town where marijuana is legal. No, that's not it. It took place in Superior Judge Anita Sokola Thursday. And when he was asked if he could be released pending sentencing, Attorney John Morrison asked the judge, "Can he be released pending sentencing?" And Judge Sokola said, "I'm not releasing him today."
Denied.
What? Judge Sokola is actually keeping somebody in jail? You're kidding. This lady she's the one that lets everybody out. He must have just looked guilty. Maybe he just didn't get a haircut or wear a nice shirt to court or something like that.
Because guilty smell.
Sokola kept him in. That he must have been some kind of hard case, because normally she lets everybody out. I think that to me is one of the more amusing cases. Somebody's asked me how I'm doing today, and the answer to that is I am amused. Perpetual state of amusement. It's Friday. No frowny faces on Friday. Though it's always fun to start talking about some other cool things. And the last couple of items that I've got here on the table of contents is the results of the Democrat committee elections. We talked about that with Roy Respicio, former Senator Roy Respicio, now committee man Roy Respicio for the Democratic Party of Guam. They had their elections last weekend, and I must have been 10 or 20 people come out to vote. I'm not sure how many people did come out to vote, but they came out with a statement talking about just how great it is, and we're looking ahead to 2020. That's right. There's an opportunity for a press release with soaring language, looking ahead to 2020. Get that look off into the middle distance. Who have we got here? Former Speaker Judy Wanpat has been chosen by local Democrats to lead their party in the 2020 election year. She served 9 terms in the legislature, yada, yada, yada. She's humbled and honored by the support she garnered in a party election this past Saturday. Here's the thing, Judy and Jennifer and Regine and Senator Roy Respicio, you weren't actually running against anybody. Somebody had figured it out a long time ago. Okay, it's going to be Judy, it's going to be Rory, it's going to be Regine, and we're going to have Arlene Brazazzo is going to do this, Jennifer Doula is going to do that, John Jr., you get to do that. And nobody ran against any of these guys, right? So I'm going, what was the point of the election? And this brings us back to the rest of the election conversation. If the Democrats can do this on their own and figure out who's going to do what with where and the other, then why can't the Democrats just do that with who's going to run for senator? Why can't the Republicans do that and figure it out? Look, we'll just get a meeting together. We'll call our own election, and they had them in mayor's offices all over the island. Or was it all over the island, or did they just do it at one place? I forget. But in the past, I have voted at my mayor in exactly this election. So the question is, if we can do this to figure out who's going to be the committee man and who's going to be the shop stewards in the different villages, then why cannot we do this to figure out who it's going to be that that the Democrats want to go on the general election ballot for governor, lieutenant governor, the office of the attorney general? No, it's a nonpartisan position, but you know what I mean, and all the senator jobs. It sure save us a whole lot of money. I think the taxpayers a whole lot of money if we could move off in that direction. And then the last thing is, if you are going to be headed to the Philippines, ooh, that sounds nice. Between the 25th of this month and about the 4th of next month, my friends over at Philippine Airlines say, you ain't going alone. Don't even ask about whether or not the seat next to you is going to be empty, because we are anticipating a huge mob of people that are going to be heading back to the Philippines for All Souls Day and going and not even slowing down in Manila. You get to Manila, you're going to get on another airplane or a bus out to the provinces because even Manila will turn into a ghost town through that last weekend of first weekend of November. So if you're headed off in that direction and you're not going there for All Souls Day, you may want to reconsider a change in plans. 9:59 and change. We're KUSG. I got you. That's it for the week. Welcome to the weekend, baby. This is The Point.
HD3.
Evacuations underway. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Winds driving a massive wildfire in Northern California.
The Kincaid fire in Geyserville, California, ripped through 10,000 acres in a matter of hours, prompting a mass evacuation of the whole town. More than 1,200 people had to get out fast in the pre-dawn hours. Evacuee Dominica Catelli says it was like something out of a bad dream.
So